I pressed record. Okay. Three. Okay. Okay. We're good. We're good. We're good. Oh my god. All right. My
All
bad. My
right.
bad. All right. This is
Um,
take two on our first podcast. Let's just pretend nothing happened. My cat is gone.
um,
Um.
yep. So as for our first podcast, zero technical difficulties.
No.
Everything is running smoothly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Anuj got back from his Tough Mudder in his Tough Mudder gear. He finished. Uh. In what place?
I don't know, honestly. It's just a lot of people that go at once.
Oh. Okay.
I don't think they do.
It wasn't.
Not first,
It
but
was.
not last.
There's no placement. Like you can. Yeah, it's very far from first and decently ahead of last. Is probably what I can comment on.
Okay.
But
All
there's
right.
no
Cool.
really official placement.
All right, cool. Well, all right. I'm just gonna speed by introductions. I'm Kyle. The guy above me is Evan. The guy to my left is Anuj, and the guy diagonal is Akshay. All right. So, in case we listen to this and our names have changed, this is who we are from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And now we can get started for real.
Right. Okay. Just for future reference, what we're doing here is that we're talking about a piece of media that we experienced this month. Just to give us something to talk about, give us something to have a good excuse to meet up every now and then, and hopefully, um, knock on wood, we keep doing this for years to
Mm-hmm.
come.
Yeah.
Uh, but I would be happy to go first, if that's okay with you.
Yeah. That's all good.
Yeah, take it away.
Yeah,
Take it away,
so
Akshay.
I was at a friend's place last week, and I was like on his computer looking at stuff, and he had a very interesting game installed called Star Citizen.
Oh
Are any of
my.
you aware of this game?
No, I haven't heard of it.
Can it be called a game?
Right.
It's an
Okay.
experience for
So
sure.
this is interesting because I hope looking back on this podcast years from now, that this game maybe comes out, because the story behind this game, it is a it's interesting. I wouldn't again. Evan brought up a good point. Would you call this a game? It is very much this enormous moonshot project that's supposed to build this basically persistent online like space uh like sci-fi world that you can like fly around in and like fly to different planets. So like think like I know there was this game called No Man's Sky recently. You can like fly to different planets. Well, like the point of this is that like you have these like planet-sized planets and like solar systems, and you're supposed it's they're trying to simulate this sci-fi universe online, to make this like ultimate MMO game, right? And the thing about this game is that they have been producing it, I think, for like a decade or something. Um, and they have not actually released an official game yet. But but what they have done is raised, I think, since now like $700 million in just normal like Kickstarter funds or something like that from people who are just excited about the game, which is a ridiculous amount of money for a game that is not out yet. Which shows how excited people are for this, which is interesting. But the reason I bring this up is that so my friend actually got the way that you play this game right now is that you don't just buy the game; you need to buy a ship. Um, and that's kind of part of the monetization scheme that they're doing for like funding the game because it's like an early access. So like they sell all of these in order to like enter the universe of Star Citizen, you need to purchase a ship and like a pilot's license or whatever. And like different ships cost different amounts of money, and the base ship is like $40. So technically, you could say it's a $40 game. That's what my friend got. The funny thing is that the prices don't just stop there. Depending on how much you want to invest in this game, there are ships that run hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars, and I think actually as of like this last month, there's something that I think that's like $40,000, where it's
Holy
like,
crap.
and again these aren't like when I say these are like virtual ships, right? Like in the game. Um, and there's like this $40,000 thing, which I think gives you like a bunch of different ships that you can like use, and you can like I don't know, show off your wealth in this virtual world, I guess, which is just absolutely fascinating to me. But I was playing around on my friend's computer on this, and like, and it's interesting because it is definitely I can see where a lot of this money has been going. They seem to have kind of succeeded at like this really cool like technical achievement where you can literally like get like you start in like your little apartment complex like in the sci-fi city, and you can get out and like go to your ship and then get in your ship and then just take off and just fly up into the atmosphere, up into space, like just through the atmosphere with like no loading screens, and then find like a little waypoint like warp tunnel thing, and then like boost your way to like another planet like in this beta star system, which was like honestly a pretty impressive experience, and it worked really really well. Which kind of got me a little excited about the game too. Um, the thing is, it has taken them a decade to get to this point and hundreds of millions of dollars. So we'll see what this actually turns into something in the future. But this is definitely like one of those really fascinating things that like I found on the internet where like you have all of these people who are like really invested in this game, who have paid thousands of dollars to buy their own ship in this virtual world and like become like this person in this virtual world, which I think is like so insane. But clearly, given how much money they raised, there's a lot of people who are into this idea. Um, and like I guess it's just gonna keep growing from now on. So I'd be really interested to see what happens to this game in like I don't know another 10 years. I guess maybe it'll come out at some point. But perhaps this is the first of things to come when it comes to like people investing insane amounts of money into virtual worlds. Maybe it'll remain niche, but I found it pretty like I found it interesting that there were like literally like tens of thousands of people who were paying this much money to do this. And I don't know. It's and like another thing I actually found out recently was that like there are like these like companies in the game, right, which are like guilds in like your other online games. And like in order to join some of the high level guilds, you have to like submit an application with your real life photo and like name and stuff.
Wow.
And they do that because like I think part of this game in the future is that like you're gonna like fight over territory in this like virtual space or something. So like they don't want you to betray them. So you have to like self dox yourself.
You have to
So that
dox
if you
yourself.
betray them in
What?
the game, that
They have
could, like,
leverage
find
on you.
I guess they could like know who you are in real life.
That's
and find you,
crazy.
which is just like absolute insanity. But like, I mean, there are people who are doing this, so it is like the most cyberpunk thing I have ever experienced in like real life. And I just thought it was like mind blowing. So, yeah, it's weird. Yeah, online games have come a long way since like Club Penguin and as we were talking about earlier, and RuneScape. So yeah, we'll see where this goes.
Yeah, it's
See where
like
this goes.
it's interesting how you talk about that like the ship part because like I remember this game getting like crazy amounts of hype and they did like a bunch of like oh we're gonna use the CryEngine or whatnot and there's like a lot of minutia in like how development like stalled or like the fact that they asked for even like more money as time went on. It feels
Yeah.
like in a lot of ways it feels like a precursor to like all of like the NFTs and like metaverse stuff like where you're not just like pre-ordering like a game, you're now pre-ordering virtual real estate in some
Exactly.
capacity. Yeah.
Exactly. Which is like,
Wow.
what do you like? What do you so? This is off. Maybe this is too big of a topic for this. Maybe we'll talk about. I'm sure this will be a topic later on too. But like this whole idea of like virtual property, I guess technically it has always kind of been a thing because I can even remember back in the days of RuneScape where people would buy RuneScape gold with real life money on like these illegal trading sites. And this is back in like early 2000s. So technically this virtual stuff had real life value to people and like it had a market value. So that was already a thing for a while now. And then there was that whole weird thing with the NFTs and all that, which I guess tried to do it again in a very different technical sense, but I guess it's been here. It's like that idea has been around for a while.
Yeah.
And like I was just wondering, like, is that gonna continue being a thing, or is it more like a niche kind of?
I think companies will always try to find a way to like monetize their customers. So the idea of like ownership is always something that they want to like sort of privatize and also like commoditize, right? Like this, like everything's like a commodity, and the idea of ownership, like we don't want to give you a permanent license for these things, but like you could have it if you spend like some sort of like price or value on it, which
Yeah.
it's less of like a societal need for it and more of like an impetus on like marketing, I feel.
Yeah, yeah, it's interesting. Like I
Also-
don't think. Yeah, sorry, Evan. Yeah.
Well, I also think that like it depends on really like what you consider like what is the tipping point? Like what is the level at which it becomes more than just like a niche like a niche product or like a niche way of spending the money, right? Because like I think like you said, it's always been around for I don't know, at least 10, 20 years now, but never has it really gotten to the point where it's really been more than like, okay, like a few $100s here, there, sometimes. But like the whole NFT, and it sounds like a little bit of Star Citizen is like, they're trying to, once it reaches like tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars of expenditure, I think that's like really when it becomes kind of like the tipping point of like, oh, this is like, oh, we're entering like a digital age.
Yeah.
But I also see that as like quite far off still.
I think a lot of these
Despite
Okay.
various billionaires' attempts at this.
I think
Your boss, perhaps.
I didn't name any names in particular, but
they're on
you
the
interpret this as you wish.
they're on the AI kick now. It's different now actually. It's different.
That's true. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. They pivoted.
Yeah.
There's still a lot of money being spent. I will say that.
True.
My it's funny. I think like you can see a lot of this being weaponized as FOMO, right? Like Star Citizen had that Kickstarter. It's like, oh, if you don't do this now, like you'll miss out on like a entry point into like Star Citizen and whatnot. And
Yeah.
and we kind of see it like when we talk about like digital assets and whatnot, right? Evan might relate to this. Fear of missing out like on like Fortnite skins and whatnot because they're purchasable for a limited time. But recently there's I don't know if all of you guys know Faker. I know Evan knows Faker, but he's like undoubtedly the greatest League of Legends
Esport.
player of all time, right?
Oh, League of Legends.
So they're making this skin called like the Hall of Fame skin, where they took one of his characters that he uses a lot, and they made a skin of it that is limitedly available for a limited amount of time, right? And it's $500.
Wow.
Well, okay,
Yeah.
so
It's a cool skin.
And to clarify, it's $500 for like all the features, but like the base version of this skin is $50. But the base version is like a lot less.
It's like skeleton,
sexy
bare
slash,
bones.
like there's a lot less like animation and stuff like that than like the full fleshed out $500 skin.
So the tier
This
goes.
has definitely created a bunch of controversy.
Yeah.
In the
interesting.
So the tier goes like $50 to $200 something dollar, 270 I think, and then the last tier is like 500. So the disparity is already crazy, right? But also they've never done a skin that celebrates a player before, right? And this is like the
Yeah,
first
yeah.
inductee to this what they call like the Hall of Fame
Yeah.
for their game and whatnot. And that has caused a lot of like uproar, but I think a lot of companies are like sort of like weaponizing the FOMO for like digital assets and whatnot. And I mean, Star Citizen has been doing it as a business model this entire time,
Yes.
but because it's been going on for a long time, I wonder how long they can weaponize it. To be honest,
So this is definitely
Probably
a thing.
indefinitely.
yeah,
Yeah.
So the idea of like this is definitely a thing in like sports memorabilia, right? Like,
yeah,
you can people. I'm sure they. I know nothing about this. I'm sure Nudge and Kyle can chip in. I'm sure like for like celebrated players in all sports, they might sell like a special like jersey or ring or I don't know something related to them. For like some exorbitant amount of money, and it's like, oh, it's for big fans of the person, of the big fans
yeah.
of this this culture of this sport, and of course in that case it's a physical item, so maybe a little bit different. But I guess is it inherently wrong for them to do it for a virtual item because it's virtual, or is the fact that it's still a scarce item still make it have value? Because clearly people don't like this in general. Like,
Because it's not physical and because digital assets have like infinite amounts of real estate, that it just feels more how would you say it? It feels more
What are
corporate
those,
scarcity than
don't,
anything else.
don't they have virtual what what is it called? Isn't it kind of like virtual trading cards also, where I can't think of like the exact word, but like people pay like for example, I remember when like Kyle Logan Paul was like collects Pokemon cards, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I remember watching one of his videos, and at the end of the video, it's like I don't know if you've seen any of his Pokemon collecting videos, but he gets this like exclusive Pikachu card or something like that. There's like maybe 10 in existence, or maybe even less than that. I don't know, but he pays like a lot of money, and then he creates like a digital version of it at the end of the video, and he's like, his like gesture is like, oh, I want this like item to belong to like the Pokemon fandom, I guess. So like basically he basically has like he was like, oh, he keeps the physical copy in his house, but everyone owns like a piece of it. Like
Oh, like a
there's,
share.
it gets bit.
oh, I see.
It gets
Oh,
split up into like 100 pieces, and it got auctioned off. And anyone who wants to like you can like bid on like 1/100th of it, and like obviously there's people who might own more than 1/100th of the piece, but the decision on what he does with the card, like if people want to majority sell someday or this and that, like he can't do anything because he like committed to only owning like a fraction of the card. I don't know what it was, but I feel like there's a word for it and I can't think of it, but like people were doing that with a lot of like physical stuff. They were like creating virtual versions of it. I don't know why. I feel like
I guess like okay,
but,
so okay, I understand what he's doing. He's basically splitting the car's value into shares, and he's giving it to other people, auctioning it off, and then people own that share.
Yeah.
And if they choose to
Yeah.
sell the card, then they get like the percentage of like that card's value back as part of
Yeah.
their shares.
Yeah.
I don't know
So
what the
people
word
that-
for that is, but like
people
I have
done
heard of
that
it.
with- yeah, people have done that with like fine art before, like old works of art from famous artists.
Yeah.
They sold like essentially like you said shares of it. Yeah, I know there's probably a more specific term for it, but yeah, I guess yeah he's doing it with Pokemon cards now.
He did it.
Um,
He did it with a few of his Pokemon cards for sure. Yeah.
So I guess the question, so if you own a share of a card and like it appreciates in I guess okay, so the who provides the certification that you own a share of this card?
I believe. I'm assuming
It's
the
probably just like
onus would be on the
Yeah.
website to get it. Like they probably provide you with some virtual.
Is there like a physical thing or maybe or?
I don't know.
I assume it's like
I
just
don't know.
owning a stock and like the ownership is just like validated through that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Depends
true.
on like how much you trust the entity that certifies this, right? If
I
it's, like,
don't
the
trust Logan
website,
Paul.
then-
Like I trust
Yes.
like I would trust I trust the UX Stock Exchange to protect the fact that I own a share in like
Yeah.
in some random company. But like I guess in this case, is it just Logan Paul who provides the like certification? Like I'm say if you wanted to sell your share to someone else, how would you do that? Can you do that?
You probably can. I'm not sure. What I do know, I think, is, I think he partnered with a bunch of people and launched an auction site himself, and he, as like promoting that site, he that's where he auctioned off on. And I remember logging onto the site and actually seeing like some pieces of it that were there because I was like interested in it, and I also saw other sellers who were auctioning off virtual versions of literally like sports trading cards, like I don't think I saw like Yu-Gi-Oh, but like sports trading cards, other memorabilia, like maybe like jerseys and stuff like that of various sports. Like there were other things on there, so it was probably like it's like I guess its own company, I guess, that he was part of launching.
I mean, yeah, it's backed by the company. To a certain extent, it's backed by the U.S. legal system. Right, but
Yeah.
I think that the distinction here is that, like, at the end of the day, this is a physical, like, this has physical backing, right? Like, there is a physical card that you are selling, but like, I don't think that that's necessarily a requirement for you to like. I think like digital assets are, they obviously have some value. The $500 faker skin is like another example of like people think that this is like this is worth it to them, and whether they're buying it for like the actual like they think it's worth it that much, or they want to support the player or the company or the esports scene, is just like you know it's worth it to them, and it works. Like I think there was an article that in Korea only, which is probably it's not even like it's like one of the bigger markets, but like the US is like in terms of monetary wise, I believe the US is still larger and China is larger, right? They sold like I think 4,000 skins within a couple weeks,
Wow.
which is if you do the math, that's $2 million already, right? And then like you think about how many whales are in China that spend money for like Genshin Impact and all this stuff, is like they definitely made a lot more.
Yeah.
That's a whole
I mean,
other
they probably
conversation.
they probably have like a lot of market research to help them determine that this price will make us millions of dollars, So,
I think the part that feels bad is like this is the only option, right? Like you can't. There's no. Well, okay. Actually, that's not entirely true. There is like a $20 battle pass where you can like earn a skin for a different character that like Faker really likes, and like he has a lot of like history on. So I wouldn't necessarily say like this is the only option if you want to like represent that like, oh, you're a Faker fan, right? And I think that like it's there's a huge amount of backlash, like this is not acceptable, and it's like, what is this? This is the dumbest thing ever. But like, I mean, it works, and I think that it's at the end of the day, it's not a product for everyone. For the record, I didn't buy it myself because I didn't think it was worth it. But like, there are people that do think it's worth it, and like, that is what. At the end of the day, ownership, assets, and like the economy is like it's all dictated by what people are willing to pay for. It's really just supply and demand, and like there's enough demand for this that it's a real market. I will say the other funny thing is that like about 2 weeks after they announced the skin, they announced a physical model, like a high quality figure model of this, like those think about like the Japanese like the super detailed ones, and it is half the price of the skin, so it's $250 for the physical model. Yes.
Yeah, my friend's getting that instead of the skin.
Really interesting.
That's what he's doing. I think it's hilarious. Like the physical asset is like cheaper than the skin itself.
I mean, yeah, I completely agree with you. I think in general, people are very, very quick to think this is like automatically, oh, it's stupid, it's a scam. But like you said, I mean, like they, like, it's not like it has value because people care about this game and they care about these characters and the people involved with the company in the esports scene and all that.
For what it's worth, I do think it's a scam. Mostly because I think
How do you like? Sorry, when I say
Also,
it's not a scam, I'm saying like they're not doing this to like. Yes, they're trying to make money like any business, but like they're giving someone an option to buy this thing, and they're just and like people are free to make that option. Like because they
Yeah.
want to show their support in the game.
yeah, I don't disagree with that. I just think that the idea of like weaponizing that like sort of like value in people.
FOMO, you mean?
Yeah, the FOMO, and then like also the idea of like this is supposed to be a like a celebratory type of thing, and they're like using that like loyalty to like sort of like put out like predatory prices. Yes, it is true that they have done their market research on whether or not people deem it's worth it, and if it's worth it for them to maximize the profits in order for that to like happen. But I still think it's like scummy practices because at the end of the day, they it's not like uh they need this money. Like if you're gonna put it out there that this is like a celebration of like a player that like everyone reveres, every League of Legends player reveres Faker, right?
Yeah.
Then why is it so monetized, so predatory to his fan base? You know, that's what I think. What I mean by scam, I think that it's scummy behavior because you don't really need to do that. You know, at the end of the day, though, like if it's worth it for some people, if they deem if it is or not, then you know that's their decision to make. That's their financial decision to make. But I think it would have been really cool if they were to celebrate their best player, player that's like revered by everyone, and to be a little bit more accessible. I'm not saying like it shouldn't be like five, or like it should be like $50 for like everything. You know, like their top tier skin, but even like their middle ground skin, which is like $250, like going from $50 to $250, that's like a humongous difference, right? And that's the only option you can get to like get like basically their, I guess, like premier skin, their premier Ari skin. And if it was just like a little bit lower, like say like 150, I think that would still be like more reasonable, you know. But I mean, who's to say? Who's to say? I'm not Riot's market research team. I'm not deeming whether or not like it'll be worth it for them to do it. I'm just saying that like there's a difference between making something, like making the skin and like adding all those features in, and then asking if this would be worth it for people and asking them to pay for it, and then versus making the skin and then also saying, well, if you want to celebrate this player that we all love, then you should pay this much money to get like the top brass of all of this. Because mind you, actually, you weren't able to buy enough Riot points at first to get that $500 skins. The store maxes out at $100. They actually added another tier of like Riot points specifically so you can spend on that skin. So you can spend $550 or $500 on Riot points in order to get it. So that's how it feels to me. It just seems like super sketchy, and it feels super predatory. And if like video games head towards that direction, like how Star Citizen did, I think we would have an overall worse industry, in my opinion.
The point, I think everything is. I mean, I think everything is defensible there, or like,
Yeah.
I understand your point, and I wholly get like the whole, you know, it sucks to have to pay $500 to get the most exclusive version. There are like, for the record, there are cheaper ways to represent your support.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
It's just like
there are.
that skin specifically is like maybe one of his. It's also like Faker's most. I wouldn't even say it's like his most.
It's not his most used champion.
It's his. It's not even. It is nowhere close to his most iconic champion, right? His most iconic champion is actually part of the $20 version where like you buy it, you like do the battle pass. That's his most iconic champion. This is actually like the champion that he has not played that much, but he like just enjoys because it's one of the most popular champions in League of Legends just in general. Right? So, and like I think that's a lot of gray area. I would say the one point that I would disagree on is when you say that it's a scam, because I think scam has a very unique connotation to it that like it might be a ripoff for some people, or like some people might think it's a ripoff, some people think it's worth it. But, like scam, I don't think they're scamming anyone. Not per se. Like you are getting exactly what you're being told, right? Like you can preview it, you can see videos, like you're getting exactly what they say you are going to get for $500, and like there, and some people don't think that that's worth it, but like some people think it is, and at the end of the day, like that just means that it's out of budget for them. Like is a $100,000 like BMW a scam? I don't like. Some people
Right.
think it's a ripoff, but like, it's worth it for people.
Hmm. Yeah, I was gonna say I agree with you, Evan, because I feel like scam is almost like a more of an objective connotation that everyone would like universally agree on, whereas this is like more of a subjective thing where it's like a lot of people are going to determine that it's not worth their money, and that's fine, and there are going to be people that can afford it and might want it and determine that it is worth their money, it's like it's just like up to each individual person.
I guess that's true. It depends on like what the yeah, I guess they are just selling you what what you're getting into for the most
You
part.
also said like scummy practice, and I think that's more appropriate to say because that's more of like a a subjective your opinion sort of way to put it. But I wouldn't like put that and scam in the same like sentence, right?
I guess I'm using the word more colloquially than anything else.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyways, we've been on this topic for like 30 minutes now.
We can move on to something
We
else.
gotta move on if we want to get to everyone.
Yeah.
If anyone else wants to go, I can go still.
Go
Well,
for it.
actually, one thing I want to question is like, I mean, I don't think we're probably gonna get to all of them and be able to discuss them in depth.
Oh yeah.
I don't mind. Yeah.
Like, is this like, is this more appropriate for like 1 to 2 topics each, or
Should we
I
just
think
do
it's more
2?
interesting I think it's more interesting to go deeper into like 1 or 2 topics than to like surface level talk about like 4
Talk
different
about 4
topics.
people. Yeah, maybe
Yeah,
we should do
I
it this
I
way
was about to say.
where we do 2 people each month. Maybe
Let's
that
do
makes
that.
more sense.
I mean, it kind of depends on how much time we have and how much we end up talking about it. But if we find a topic we like talking about, then
I think we should delve into it then. Okay. I guess we could also save like stuff that we experience for next time too.
yeah. I mean, this is a podcast. We just talk about stuff.
Okay. Yeah, sure. I mean,
but yeah. No, it is. It's interesting. So I guess. Did you actually before?
Before.
actually froze in place. Wait, I think he DC'd. Oh, there. Yeah, he DC'd. That's interesting.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Hello.
Oh, you're
Oh.
back.
Yes.
You DC'd.
Did anyone else like have something that they wanted to talk about next? We could do one more topic if we wanted to stop at that.
Hello. Okay.
Okay, we're back.
Actually, it's back.
Hello?
I have something
Yeah,
to
I don't
talk
know what
about.
happened there.
I have something to talk about, but there's not really like too much discussion. I just wanted to like talk
I
about
have-
it.
I have something. It's more of like a form of appreciation rather than like I think it's going to create as much discussion as Akshay's point did.
Yeah.
Akshay's topic did.
Sound good?
Kyle, you can go too.
Okay. I'll go. I mean, it's again like a nudge. It's like more of like a form of appreciation. But basically,
Sure.
I've been
Give
traveling
some
a lot.
positivity every now and then.
Yeah. So so I'm like the most frequent traveler here, right?
Yeah.
So when and typically I'm on like a lot of plane rides. So every single time I do go on one, I'm like thinking, oh, like what time do I go? Can I just like sleep through the entire thing, yada yada, or am I gonna be like too awake and I need something to preoccupy myself? Like what's my playlist and whatnot. So typically, I try to when I plan those things, I like think about like what can I do within like this duration of time span. When I went to Japan, it was like 15-hour flight, I think. I had 3 movies downloaded to like watch and whatnot. But recently, I haven't been international traveling. I've been like in country traveling. So usually, at max, I'll be spending like 7 hours on a plane. And if I'm flying to New York, usually it's like an hour 30 minutes, right? So within an hour 30 minutes, I can read like a single volume of manga, right? And basically every single time I travel somewhere, I usually also hit up the weeb stores, right? Like if I go to San Francisco, I'm in Japantown. If I'm in Japan, I hit up like, or not in Japan, in New York, I hit Kino or whatnot. There's like a book off there as well. And on the return back, I actually get volumes of like manga that I've been like meaning to read. So I actually have like 3 over here that I've been like, I sort of like picked up for myself. So I'll talk about each of them at like sort of like a surface level length. If you guys find these like kind of interesting, you know,
Yeah, let's hear it.
this is Apothecary Diaries. This recently got an anime, I'm pretty sure. I think it started off as like a light novel too, but it has like a pretty in-depth manga adaptation. And it's like I found it interesting because this is one of the few manga out there that I know of that actually takes place in China, and all the characters are Chinese. It like a lot of the setting is like I think like dynasty, Qing dynasty maybe, like they have to deal with like emperors and whatnot, and basically it has to do with like the day-to-day the day-to-day like stories of this apothecarius, I don't know, but basically the main character, her, she got indentured into servitude for the emperor, and she goes around and like figures out, oh, like the first story is like, oh, like the emperor's children have all been like poisoned and whatnot, and she figured out like a lot of the makeup that the women wear actually was like really toxic to children. So many of like the emperor's children actually like died because of this. And yeah, I mean, like it's a cool little read. I only read the first volume so far, and the common theme about a lot of this is that all of these are basically the first volume of everything. This is Smoking Behind the Supermarket with You, which is a very interesting, like, I guess rom-com, where it's about a guy. He does, I think it's implied that he's a software engineer, but he's like super stressed, and he really likes this like one cashier at the supermarket and whatnot, and she basically she like brightens up her day because she has like a really good smile and whatnot. And one day he's like, oh, I need to like find a place to smoke right outside the supermarket, and he is grabbed by this girl over here, and she's like, she has like cool clothing, she's got like a little bit of a punk attitude, and she's like, oh, you can like smoke behind the supermarket with me. And they talk about like, you know, day-to-day lives and whatnot, what goes on in work. And it's a cute little like rom-com between these two. And unbeknownst to the salesman guy, or not the salesman guy, the worker guy, she's actually the cashier that he admires like in front. And you kind of see a lot of like, it kind of reminds me of like working in the restaurant a lot, because a lot of times you sort of like have to put on a fake smile. In this case, in which case she like literally puts on like another persona in order for her to work behind the register, but she's in reality actually just like this punk girl that like is kind of like rebellious in some sort of way. So I think it's pretty cute. Like they're like a adorable pair and whatnot. And the last one I actually read, I think this has promise, and I'll probably keep reading it. Is Sakamoto Days, which is about this guy right here. He's a little bit chubby, but his deal is that he used to be a hitman, right? And he used to be a really good hitman. Like this guy was overpowered type of deal. Almost to a satiric degree, and a lot of this series is nailed to comedy, but it really reminds me of Gintama, which is why I'm like excited to keep watching it. They actually just like announced an anime for it, where he's voiced by the guy who voices Gintoki, the main protagonist of Gintama. So I'm really excited to go through. But basically, he one day is crazy good hitman, like crazy talented. He finds someone he loves. He gets married. He gets a child, and he gets super fucking chubby, right? And now he runs like the supermarket and whatnot. So it's a setup for a lot of like comedic stuff. It's a setup for a lot of great action. The author is really good at like drawing choreography and whatnot. And I think, yeah, I'm gonna continue reading it because I really dig the premise. But I think the comedy aspects are like a known weakness of mine. If something is compelling to me about the character in a comedic way, usually when they put him in more dramatic scenarios, I think those are really attractive too. So can't wait to continue on that. But yeah, basically every single time I go on travel, I experience like basically a new piece of media, or I try to, because I don't know. I feel like these days, whenever I'm at home or like somewhere else, like I usually want to spend my days with friends, so I don't really have time to myself. So it's hard for me to like really just sit down and sort of do something by myself, like especially reading manga. But when I am forced by myself, aka on a plane, like this is when I experience new stuff. So that's all for that.
Interesting. Nice.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty interesting. Yeah.
What is the what's the reasoning for having physical volumes?
Physical volumes, like is a commitment, basically. If I have like a physical book on me, I would feel the need to like actually like read it. Versus like let's say I actually have an app on my phone that downloads manga, and like I'll read it like every so often. It like even updates to what it is. But it's like, oh, I can do this whenever, versus like when I go to somewhere and like I buy like a book, well, I'm in my travels, right? I'm like making a commitment to myself that this physical book is gonna be inside my backpack as a carry-on, right? So, and then I would be like, well, I have a empty amount of time until I land. Like, let's finish this, right? This is like entertainment for me, basically. And I'm sure like a lot of people have like been on a plane with like those little touchscreens and whatnot, and like you're trying to look for a movie to watch, right? And I'm sure like sometimes you look at the movie selections and you're like, well, I could watch this now, or I could be like more comfortable and like watch this at home. Where but like the number of selections that you have on that like that little touchpad is like a bit of a it's a bit of a burden, because you're kind of like frozen by choice. It's like, oh, I don't know, like I want to spend my time with. Whereas like if you buy a physical book, like you're telling yourself this is like the thing I'm gonna experience on that plane ride. So I mean, I have a humongous manga collection. I value physical media, and if one of these like volumes eventually like really hold me, like it's like very compelling, like maybe I'll complete the collection one day. Like who knows, you know. But yeah.
Yeah, I definitely I can definitely very much relate to the idea of like committing to something by buying it. Especially since it's like it's very easy to just kind of jump, or like you said, kind of be paralyzed by your choice of things to read and watch and all that. Even though like if you just and like you tend to and you and as a result you kind of maybe will jump around and maybe watch half of something, or
Yeah.
default to a YouTube video, which
Exactly.
is shorter, and you get right, and yeah, that I definitely vibe with that. It's interesting because it's funny you mentioned the airport, the airplane movie selection, because I actually would think that one of the only times where I would actually like I don't very much watch movie shows on my own, but like one of the very few times that I do nowadays is on a plane because actually like it is a big selection, but it's still more pared down than the literally limitless access that you have on my own like laptop or phone. So
Mhm.
like I kind of have to scroll through and like pick and like I can pick one thing. I'm like, oh look, this is a movie that came out recently. I can watch or something, and watch it. And then it's very much that same idea of like it's really you by actually committing to something, you also end up kind of just enjoying it much more. Usually,
Mhm.
unless it ends up not being your taste, but like usually just making that commitment is the hard part.
Yeah, exactly.
And yeah, I guess buying it really helps. Like having a physical copy does. I can definitely see how that helps
Yeah,
overcome that.
yeah. So I'm like motivated because like I spent money on this, but like like when it's in your hands, like you really feel the need that like oh it has to be like experience and whatnot, right? Um, but yeah, yeah. So yeah, I'm probably gonna keep doing this. If by luck I'll if like maybe I'll be able to continue finishing off these series and whatnot. Uh, but yeah, I find it really hard when I'm just like by myself to like actually like motivate myself to do this. So this has been my remedy towards that, I think.
I would say the interesting part for me is like I'm the complete opposite, at least to an extent. I This is the same with books and manga. Like I bought like physical books recently. Like Kristen also had a bunch of physical ones, and she like she got me to start reading uh, books, and I will say that like the fact that I had to carry around a physical book and also be careful with, like the sense that like oh I need to be careful with this to avoid damaging it, it made it harder for me to like put time and commit time to doing so because it's like a higher barrier to entry. And as such, like I ended up just putting it on my e-reader, and instead that became a much lower barrier of entry, which
Mm-hmm.
actually pushed me to read a lot more. The same with manga. Actually, recently, like
Oh.
uh, I started. There's been a lot of shorts on YouTube talking about Bleach, partially because the latest season of anime, like the Kubo is he's basically like the like lead producer on it, and like he makes a lot of decisions. So there's a lot of extra content actually that he never got around to doing the first time around because he was like so burnt out and pressed on deadlines. But anyways, like I started reading that again, and it's just like being able to have all 700 chapters downloaded on my phone and just like pull out, read a few chapters here, read a few chapters there. Or like when I was camping and there's just like no Wi-Fi at all. If there was like some time that was just like, well, it's middle of the day, is like, got nothing better to do, just read a few chapters there too. And just having that, like, it's totally unfeasible to carry around like 30, 40 volumes of Bleach for that purpose.
Yeah, that's also true.
Yeah.
Well, like from a collection standpoint, I think the physical stuff still has value, um, and like I would totally like the books that I've read. Like I go and buy the physical versions, but
But it's less for the
I'll like
utility and more for like, oh, I need to just have it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, display slash supporting the author officially.
Mm-hmm.
There are like a few books I bought from Brandon Sanderson that I've literally never opened, but they're on my bookshelf and I have read them digitally.
Oh, that's
That I
interesting.
pirated first.
Yeah. I
So
guess yeah, everyone has like a different
I do
way
the
of
same thing.
yeah. everyone everyone has a different way of pushing themselves to
Yeah.
read media. And I've I think so I had an e-reader, right? Like a little Kindle a while ago. And I mean, I still read manga on my phone obviously. Because like you said, you can't carry that many volumes on you. That's just like unfeasible. Um, but I think yeah, my impetus for reading really comes from physical because I had like the Kindle before. I had like a lot of books on there, but I really just refused to like read it on there for some reason. I just like I think the option of like having too many choices really freezes me up. It's like having like a lot of games on Steam, right? I think having it all there makes it so that I could do so many things, but I end up doing nothing. So I do prefer having physical stuff. I think the idea of again ownership comes into play as well because when you have a physical copy of something, you own the thing, and no one can really take that away from you, right? But yeah. I mean, I haven't read a book in forever, but I think I would prefer like having the actual book on me. I don't know.
Again, if you download it, also no one can take away from you.
That's also true. Yeah, if you download it a little dubiously. I'm sure like some book platforms you just get like a license to like read them or something and stuff like.
Yeah.
Sometimes like they can take it away from you. Like,
Yeah.
I think Kindle or Audible, one of the two is
Audible
like
does
that.
that. They have released things on Audible which they have retracted, and it will delete it from your phone automatically. It doesn't happen very often.
But when it does, it's like so annoying. Like, why is
It definitely, it's a feels bad moment, and it's definitely something I mean, people complain about the same thing with digital video games as well. Like there have been digital games that have been taken off stores and whatnot. That's a whole other conversation we can have at some point as well. I think that would be an interesting thing to talk about. But
Interesting. Yeah.
a nudge also like flies a bit too, right? Like, what do you do on the plane?
More.
you're driving a lot, yeah.
I'm flying more since I started residency. I mean, usually, really just flying from Philly to Michigan, and then one time I went to the, which was a longer, dragged out trip. So I have been sleeping most of the time on the flights. It's easy to pass like an hour. I mean, when I'm sitting on those flights, it's not like there's an option to like
I'm jealous.
watch like a movie or anything like that anyway. So I'll do one of three things. I will sleep. I will listen to music I already have downloaded on my phone. And I do enjoy listening to music, so sometimes I will have tracks downloaded, and that will be my time to like really listen to it and like listen to the lyrics and pay more attention to it. And the third thing is like for me, it's trying to be really good. I'm trying to get really better at consuming psychiatry when I'm not at work more often. So I have psychiatry books that I'm trying to like dive deeper into me. So I have one or two that I do carry with me, and like even on this flight back, and I'll like be like, okay, let me just get through like a little bit of it and stuff. Because sometimes I'm not fully into like trying to like when I get back from work, like picking it up all the time, especially when I have other things that I could do. But I do want to get more consistent with just trying to dive into that and consuming that even when I'm at like home after a normal work day. It just hasn't happened yet. So the flights have been a good like okay, like definitely like get at least a little bit further in this right now.
Gotcha. Any recommended psych books?
It's
Are these like articles or textbooks, or are these like popular science books?
No, it's more textbooky. It's just to help me get better in practice. Like what I'm reading right now is just the Psychiatric Interview, 5th edition by I don't remember the first name, but something Carlot, who's like a really famous psychiatrist, who's like Harvard graduate and stuff like that. Yeah, so it's more for me to just try to continue to work at getting better at my own craft.
Improve your craft. Yeah. Nice.
But I do want to, and I'm making a list of diving into less niche reads, but more in psychiatry still, that are like more stories that you can still take away stuff from that are popular to the public or and some more. So hopefully within several months I actually do have good recommendations for you.
Gotcha. I'll be waiting.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Well, we are coming up at the end of the hour. We have like 5 minutes left. I didn't expect it to go this long, but guess we did have a lot to talk
share
about.
something. Well, I guess
I guess technically Evan didn't specifically share something or a nudge, but
We could always save it
Man,
for
I
the other
did
time.
briefly mention Bleach.
Oh yeah,
You did, yes, you did.
we could talk
We
about
all
that.
know how much you love Bleach. One day we'll have a longer conversation about about that.
Yeah, yeah.
convince me. Or better yet, I would love to see. So like we have Evan for Bleach, a nudge for Naruto, and then Kyle for One Piece, and I want to see like a head-on-head battle of the Titans. Well, arguably,
I don't think I'm as
I'd say they're-
passionate about Bleach as Kyle is about One Piece.
Yeah, maybe not.
I probably am not either. I mean, I will, as far as that goes, just to keep it short, I do think One Piece is obviously, like, pretty much better than Naruto, even though Naruto is, I'm, like, biased towards my love for Naruto, but, there are individual things that I think Naruto still does better than One Piece.
Well, that's exactly what I'm
Very,
hearing.
very few select specific things, but yeah. That can be for some other time.
Alright. That's cool. That's cool. I think honestly, there are many topics we can. Maybe we should make a little or not Google Doc. We'll just add a channel to this like Discord to like put in topic ideas. Because I also have a lot of different ideas as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I only chose like piece of media, so like the idea of like it being month to month is
It should be broad. Yeah.
yeah, it's like
Yeah.
low commitment, right? But it's
I think that's good as our default. But like, if there's ever a moment where like, oh, this topic looks interesting, let's just talk about that, and then we
Okay.
can just like have a little list to pick.
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, sure.
Um,
We'll we can come up with we can add like a channel of podcast pod. I'm just gonna call it the pod. I don't know.
Yeah. Let's do it.
All right. We'll do that. I'll put I'll upload this on YouTube, and then we can have all the VODs on here as well.
Yes. Okay.
I do want to give everyone like a fair shake on like what they want to talk about today. So the next month we should probably touch on like a Nudge and Evans topic.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
and then we can come up with new stuff all the time. But just bear in mind that like if we don't have any podcast topics to talk about, just like have something that you experienced in like the past month or so, or even like the past 2 months or so to like really just talk about. I think.
Yeah.
And
Very, very doable.
the only thing I also ask is at the end of every podcast we pick the next date, so we have some sort of commitment to this. That's it.
Mhm. Okay. Let's.
Let me look at my calendar. July 4th weekend is out of the question for me, but everything else should be fine. Except July
I'm at
20th weekend. My bad.
July 20th weekend. Is that the question?
Yeah, because that's when I'll be driving to a Nudges. Theoretically.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Oh, there's a good chance I'm not at home when you're driving there.
We'll figure it out.
Huh?
Funny enough.
Wait, did I tell you this
You're
option?
not- wait. So you're not going there to visit him, or? Is
No, I'm there to stay for a month.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
How about the 13th?
I'm unavailable from the. Let's see. I'm unavailable the weekend of the 13th, 12th,
Okay.
13th, 14th. I'm going to Denver for a wedding.
Okay, so that's knocked out, and then we can't do 20th. So I guess you could try.
27th?
A little late, but
We could do that.
27th or 28th. I think either should work.
Let me triple check my August schedule. Hold up.
I'm actually fairly flexible the next 2 months because that's going to be a dedicated study period. So.
That's hilarious, actually.
Um,
You should come by, bro. I got my airbrush unit.
Yeah, I gotta see this.
You gotta teach me how to use this thing, or we'll both learn at the
Bro,
same
you
time.
think I have not? I know how to paint with a brush. I never used a fancy airbrush before. I mean, I've seen so many videos of people using them, so maybe I'll be able to translate something. But
I just feel uncomfortable using this thing by myself, and I haven't moved
Okay.
at all on this model for a while. Okay, hold on.
we'll figure it out together.
Yeah, I should be 27th weekend works for me.
Is that weekend at all?
I'm-
available?
I don't think I can do the latter half of July
Shit. Can we do a weekday?
because
By...
I'll be huh?
Can we do a weekday?
We could do weekday. I think the only weekend I have free in July is the 13th, 14th weekend. But someone said they can't do that, right?
Yeah, Evan's wedding in Denver.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm leaving Friday and coming back like Sunday, late Sunday.
Is this the weekend, the first weekend of July, too soon?
Well, I'm gone that weekend. That's July 4th weekend, right?
I'm working.
Oh, you're gone that and 20th. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. Okay, I can do 20th. I just need someone else to record, and I'll be in the car. That's really
I
it.
can't. So I think.
I think
I'm
you said he
out
can't do it.
Oh, you
from,
can't
like,
do it.
So the reason why I won't be at home, Kyle, is I think I'm actually going on a family vacation. I'll probably be out.
Oh, fucking Switzerland! I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And I think I'm out from like the country from like the 20th to like the 27th
Okay.
or 28th.
Okay.
We don't have the tickets.
Okay, I can. Let me think. I could potentially do July 4th weekend, actually. I'm just gonna be like, okay, the problem is I'm gonna be in Cali around, like, potentially around then. And that's why I ruled it
Okay.
out.
Again, we can make this 30 minutes. If we
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah, we
let's.
should. We should, in order to make it inconsistent, we should make it.
Yeah, someone else needs to record, and that's the
Sure,
only
I'll
thing.
figure it out.
Yeah, and then the only other thing is I would be there for a shorter period of time. Okay, let's just figure out a time during July 4th weekend. I'll make it work.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll make it work. It's supposed to be low commitment.
Hey,
We just need to
Wait,
like talk about
July
something.
4th weekend? By July 4th, you mean like the 6th, 7th?
4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th. That's
So that the 6th and 7th, I think, is Saturday, Sunday. So I can do those days probably the evening because I think I'm working that weekend.
okay. All right, figure out a
Well,
time.
I'm working.
Yeah, figure out a time, and I'll make it work.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll try. I'll be more flexible on planning around that then. Okay.
It's all good. This will be the start of something great.
Okay.
Hopefully.
Okay. 6th and 7th. Okay. July 6th and 7th, or 6th or 7th. Just give me a time. That works for you guys.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Sounds
All right,
good.
sounds-
All right.
all right.
Good.
Let's put that in the pod channel.
Okay.
Yeah. And
July.
can we whoever puts it in, can you write after 5 p.m.?
Yeah. After 6
Just to do like a pin like next.
or after
Next
5 p.m. Next pod. All right, cool. Oh man, I'm so glad we got this done. Hopefully we get into a rhythm of this. So
We will.
yeah, it's low commitment, and the only thing that should ever distract from this is a family emergency. Like that's the only reason we can't make it. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I'm gonna stop the recording now. Thank you guys for indulging me.
Farewell.
Yep.
Until next time.